From the Tennessee Valley Weather Channel, this is a tropical weather update.
Fred Gossage here in the Tennessee Valley Weather Center on this Tuesday, September 30th, the last day of September 2025, with the afternoon edition of your tropical weather update. We have two hurricanes into the western Atlantic basin that we are watching carefully. We still have Umberto churning here, the northerlymost system, weakening as it encounters some wind shear and cooler waters now down to a Category 1, and then Imelda up to a Category 1 hurricane as of today. We'll take them one at a time and talk about what's going on here. First, with Umberto, you can see the center of circulation starting to get exposed on satellite. A lot of the thunderstorm activity now east of the center of circulation in the lower levels. And you notice the upper level clouds are coming here fast from the west to east. It's running into wind shear now, in addition to cooler waters, so that's helping it weaken. And over the next 24 hours, we expect it to become a non-tropical low pressure, even though it will still have strong tropical storm to hurricane force wind gusts. Maximum sustained winds down to 80 miles per hour now as of the latest advisory, moving north-northwest at 18, but starting to take that turn eastward over the next 12 hours. And you see the track only goes through tomorrow evening. That's because these last two forecast points here, those are for it to be a non-tropical low, a frontal type low pressure, as it merges in with the upper level jet stream, becoming post-tropical. Even though the winds will still be strong, there'll be a lot of wave action with it, that kind of thing. Next, we're looking at Imelda still off the southeast coast. You can start to see it make that northeasterly turn, even in the satellite data now. So it is making that right-hand turn that we've been anticipating. Still, some rain shower bands into the Carolinas, but heaviest rain has stayed offshore. It's mainly been a rip current risk and a beach erosion risk from Florida northward through the Carolina coast. Other than that, besides rip currents, beach erosion, and some rainy squalls, not too much of an impact, and it's starting to make that right-hand turn now and moving away. You can see it's moving east-northeast at 12 miles per hour. As of the latest advisory at 1 p.m. Central Time this afternoon, maximum sustained winds were up to 85 miles per hour. Pressure down to 979. It is moving northeasterly. May strengthen into a Category 2 hurricane before getting close to Bermuda as we head into tomorrow evening, and then kicking northward into the North Atlantic over cooler waters and into the jet stream, it eventually becoming a non-tropical low later in the week as well. Elsewhere, we have some tropical wave activity out in the central and eastern Atlantic. Not really organized looking. National Hurricane Center not highlighting either of these with a development potential within at least the next 7 days. Next on the name list is Jerry, Karen, Lorenzo, Melissa, and Nestor. We'll see how far we get down the list. I don't think Imelda is the last storm of the season. We do see some signs in the medium to long range guidance that we'll probably see a few more systems as we head into October. Keep in mind, even though we are past the climatological peak, this is still historically a pretty active time of the year in the Atlantic hurricane season for systems. Keep in mind, the Atlantic hurricane season does not end until the end of November, although it does usually start to significantly slow down as we head out of October into November. Most years, that's how it works out. Based on climatology, based on history alone, here are the threat areas for tropical storms in the month of October. This is not a forecast based on what the atmosphere actually looks like, because we can't do that for a whole month and highlight specific areas. But based on decades and decades of history, here's where systems usually form and track during the month of October. And usually we start focusing less on these Cape Verde type systems coming off the coast of Africa, especially by mid-October. We really start trending away from paying attention to that as things become more unfavorable. Wind shear increases, the wave train starts slowing down, that kind of thing. We start watching the northwestern and western Caribbean and into the Gulf areas there for development as we head on into October. Homegrown type systems and waves developing in the Central American gyre that get pulled northward ahead of cold fronts coming across the United States. And there can be Gulf landfalls. There can be big landfalls with hurricanes on the Gulf Coast in the month of October. Think back to Hurricane Michael in 2018. Think back to Opal in 1995, but they don't always target the Gulf. So it's not a guarantee we're going to see Gulf systems. And sometimes with years set up similar to how they are this year, we don't. We see kind of a slowdown as we head into October and things kind of curve out into the Western Atlantic. And that's what's been happening so far this season is a lot of systems have been recurving out in the Western Atlantic. And whether they're coming from the African wave train or they're developing in the Caribbean, they usually curve northeastward ahead of troughs and cold fronts out into the Western Atlantic. That's how that usually happens. And if you're going to get hurricane development in October, it's usually the same corridor from the Northwest Caribbean into parts of the Gulf, especially the eastern half of the Gulf, and then on into the western and central areas of the North Atlantic. And usually they're northeasterly movers because they develop and form and get pulled northward ahead of seasonal cold fronts that start coming down as we shift more into fall weather going deeper into October. But again, that's not a guarantee we're going to have Gulf systems. That's just based on how things usually perform based on decades and decades of history. This hasn't been an overly active season. Now, the few hurricanes we have had have gotten really strong, so we'll have to watch things carefully, but we have not seen really super favorable conditions for Gulf threats so far. Can't rule one or two out as we head through the next month or so, and we'll be watching very carefully. Our next regularly scheduled tropical weather update comes tomorrow morning at 7 a.m. Central Time with meteorologist Kelly Ross, and you can catch that right here on the Tennessee Valley Weather Channel.